Hi, my name's Jason, and in this video I am going to talk about a process I went through to reduce the weight of my base. So this is what I got at the end. I've shaved off the body, put some cavities in it, I've mucked around with the headstock, I've changed the keys out. I got about 2 pounds off this base. And I'm going to talk about all the little details of where the weight is on the base and where the opportunities were to reduce it. Also, I did pay attention to the tonal differences. I took a recording of the bass before and after, and bottom line is pretty subtle if there's any change. Now we're going to go back in time and we're going to take a look at the process and some of the details. This bass weighs 9.8 pounds. So I'm going to take this thing apart and I'm going to weigh all the pieces.
This is a collect call from the future. Press 1 to accept the charges. I can see you in there. Press 1 to accept the charges. Now let me be clear, son, daughter, whoever you are, this is the future calling. You cannot just ignore me. I am coming, ready or not. Now press 1 to accept the charges. Thank you. Can't stop the bots.
So I'm going to share the screen with this chart and break down the components that drive the weight of the base and also talk about which ones have the best opportunities to reduce weight. So I'm recording this after I've already done the research and the work. This is not what I think might be possible. I'm going to talk about what was actually possible. So half the weight of the base was body, wood and paint, and obviously you can cut these things. I was able to get rid of 1 1/3 pounds of the body weight, which is between 1/4 and 1/3 of the original weight of the body. So that is in part because of taking cavities out of the base and the refinishing of the base. The factory finish is both quite durable and quite thick. If you're willing to sacrifice a little bit of durability, you can shave some weight off the finish of the instrument, which is sort of convenient because it's not easy to replace those factory finishes after you've cut holes out of it. Onto the neck, there's not surplus wood on a neck. Some of the headstock designs are surplus, and this is where I would bring up the issue of tradition versus practical. Headstocks are often designed to put huge logos on them, or headstock design is the way it was in 1963 and it's never allowed to change because that's just how branding works. So if you're willing to ignore the logo and ignore tradition, there's clearly things you can do about the headstock to tighten it up. You're not going to get a huge weight benefit. I managed to get about 1/10 of a pound off the headstock just by shaving it down, and I could have done even more if I was starting with a clean headstock with no holes in it. But simply moving the top hole down to an opposite side key, you can reduce the weight. So the next biggest contributor to the weight is the tuning keys. With a retrofit, you can definitely improve this. This is another example where tradition is not your friend. For the tuning keys that I put on, look at the back of these tuning keys and how much metal is there. What is a little harder to see is like literally the size of these posts coming out are smaller as well. Replacing the old with the new tuning keys, I was able to get rid of almost 1/2 pound. Not super cheap. They were about $35 US each. So now would probably be a good time to just discuss the balance of the instrument. You've probably at one point experienced neck dive. Now the bulk of the weight on sort of the heel of the base is a counterbalance to that weight that is far away. I was shaving off the heel, but I'm also shaving off the headstock. Basically, it worked out fine, but I'd be a little bit wary of modifying the body without doing the key switch. You might end up with a divey neck. So the bridge is something that I did not modify, but you could. The research that I did, I found that you could get a carbon fiber and titanium bridge from Godo for, I think it was about 130-ish bucks US. That would have weighed about 1/10 of a pound. The bridge that I do have weighs almost half a pound. And even that bridge is heavier than it really needs to be. The $40 traditional metal jazz bass bridge weigh about 1/4 of a pound. So if you have a heavier bridge, you could trade it to a lighter bridge for not a lot of money. I didn't do that on my bass. This particular bass has a 20mm string spacing. Most bridges are 19. So I wasn't ready to mess around with that configuration difference, but I may later. Your pickguard is an opportunity. I'm showing you how much your pickguard weighs compared to the rest of your bass. So if you can see a chance to shave your pickguard off without affecting the playability of the instrument in any way, go for it. What I ended up doing is I ended up hollowing out the body behind the pickguard. So I actually used the aesthetic of the pickguard to cover the hole. I thought that the metal knobs were kind of easy pickings. 3 plastic knobs, you save about 1/6 of a pound, 75 grams. I'm Canadian, by the way. That's why I keep on speaking in grams and millimeters. The pickups, I know that you can get lighter pickups. I don't think that's necessarily a good opportunity. I think you should pick pickups specifically for sound. I'm showing you how much the pickups weigh as part of the bass. Like, there's really not that much to be gained, and it's definitely not worth sacrificing the sound that you like. But special case, if you happen to only ever use 1 pickup, you don't need 2. Each pickup and volume pot weighed about 1/4 pound each. So battery if you need it, strings, not really any opportunity there. The leather strap is heavier than a cloth strap. It's about 75 grams, 1/6 of a pound. And so let's talk about that tiny little slice there for the neck plate. It's 1/10 of a pound, but it's kind of unnecessary if you're willing to put in the effort, and you'll get other benefits. This is a guitar that has no neck plate and a contoured heel joint, which is much nicer and more comfortable to play if you are moving into the upper frets. If I were doing a full mod of a body, I would definitely want to do this. So I'm here in my Hobbit workshop where I can't stand up straight unless I'm between the joists, and I got my bass body and I've stripped off the top coat of paint on it. And I'm going to take my belt sander now and I'm going to give her on that belt sander till I get down to bare wood. So all the weight reduction is roughed in on this base body now. That hole cleaned through will be covered up by the pickguard on the other side. And then there's just a cavity here, and then this is a battery box. Also, I trimmed off like the bottom edge and all the way around the top, kind of the same thickness. So it's like ever so slightly different shape. You wouldn't really notice it. I've always wanted a blue guitar, so this is my chance. Committing to the process, I've chopped off the top of the headstock and moved this hole down to here. So this knob here doesn't stay on. Plumber's tape. Do not use crazy glue. And I know what you're thinking. Yeah, dude, I totally have plumber's tape just on hand. Well, I don't know what to say about that. You can get plumber's tape. It's at the hardware store. It's made out of Teflon. So you just put that on. I'm actually pretty happy with the result. The only thing I really think is kind of weird is this funky looking headstock, and I'm just going to admit that I was like kind of slamming through this. I could have done a more aesthetic job on the headstock, and the reason I didn't is because I never really liked this neck that much in the first place, and I've got a fretless neck I'm planning to put on this bass. So actually this was just a practice job, and I'm probably going to do something similar to the fretless neck, but this just kind of gave me the experience of doing it once, and you know, what can I learn? And I'm going to be more careful when I do it the second time. So this just kind of looks weird. Whatever. You like it or you don't. But other than that, no regrets. The bass feels good. It feels balanced when I play it. There's no neck dive. You know, these cavities that I put in it, you don't even notice it when you're playing. I just want it to feel like a normal bass except lighter. Sounds the same. I'm pretty happy. Thanks for watching. If you're interested in this kind of DIY content, I do have a playlist about DIY type things. I also have a playlist about my home studio build and a playlist of live performance. So check out any of that content that you're interested in, and please subscribe. I'll finish up this video with the tone tests if you're interested. This will be my sign off now. Thanks a lot for watching.